Surprise! You've been misled by mainstream medicine. The experiment that told you to replace butter with vegetable oil ended up killing people faster. Your doctor probably still tells you to avoid butter and saturated fat. This is the story of the saturated fat data that was hidden in an attic for over 40 years. Hi, Dr. Brian here, retired physician and founder of Health Without Risk. For decades, we've been told a simple story. Saturated fat is bad, and swapping it out for vegetable oils is good for your heart. But recent discoveries have exposed a major flaw in that advice. A flaw that was hidden in an attic for over 40 years. This is a story of science, scandal, and a shocking cover-up. Let's look at the truth behind the Minnesota Coronary Experiment, which ran from 1968 to 1973. It was a gold standard study involving almost 9,500 patients. One group ate a diet high in saturated fat. The other group replaced that saturated fat with an oil high in omega-6 oils, primarily corn oil and corn oil margarine. The corn oil group saw a significant drop in their cholesterol levels. It worked exactly as predicted by the prevailing theories. The result? The full survival data was never published. The study's lead researcher, Ansel Keys, died, and decades passed. Around 2013, a research team at the NIH was doing a systematic review and found a reference to this massive unpublished trial. They tracked down the family of one of the original principal investigators, Dr. Ivan France Jr., and the family searched his home, and in a truly cinematic discovery found boxes of documents and old computer tapes containing the raw complete data, preserved but forgotten. When researchers led by Dr. Christopher Ramsden finally analyzed the data and published it in 2016, the truth emerged. The group that lowered their cholesterol with corn oil had a higher risk of death. For every 30-point reduction in cholesterol, there was a measurable 22% increase in mortality. The study that was supposed to prove vegetable oils were healthier instead showed they were associated with a deadly trade-off. This data, reviewed and published in the British Medical Journal in 2016, creates a massive contradiction. Dr. Keys told the world to cut saturated fat, yet the same data he was involved with suggested the replacement of omega-6 oils was risky. Compounding this, Keys himself lived to the age of 100 years in Italy, eating a Mediterranean diet that included full-fat dairy and cured meats, sources of saturated fat. If the MCE showed that replacing saturated fat was deadly, and the man who told us to do it ate saturated fat and lived to a century, the advice seems hypocritical. But as a physician and functional medicine coach, I can tell you the answer is not simple hypocrisy. The answer is nuance and the quality of the food. Let me give you an example from my experience about how much diet can change based on the goal. About 15 years ago, I decided to tackle a rapid, targeted weight loss goal. I lost 42 pounds in 31 days. How? I went to an extreme. I cut all oils and fats, not just industrial ones, and focused solely on lean proteins and specific greens. I weighed every bit of food, and my only starch was 2 Melba toasts or 2 grissini breadsticks with half a grapefruit for dessert. After that goal was met, I followed the strict Atkins plan to completely reset my leptin and slowly reintroduced only healthy, complex carbohydrates. I eventually gained back a few pounds to reach a healthy 170 to 175, and I've maintained that since. The point of that extreme story is this: when we talk about nutrition, the goal defines the intervention, and the quality defines the outcome. The MCE and Keys diet had two completely different goals and methods. Here is the functional medicine reconciliation that proves I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth. The Minnesota Coronary Experiment failed with industrial oil. It didn't test healthy unsaturated fats. It tested a massive unbalanced substitution of saturated fat with corn oil and corn oil margarine, which are rich in omega-6s and polyunsaturated fats. Those are chemically unstable, prone to oxidation, and when processed or consumed in high amounts, they cause inflammation and oxidation, driving mortality, even if your cholesterol level drops. Ansel Keys succeeded with whole foods oil. Keys lived long because he followed a whole food pattern. His diet was high in fat, but the dominant fat was extra virgin olive oil, rich in monounsaturated fats. Those are stable, anti-inflammatory, and loaded with protective polyphenols. The small amount of saturated fat he ate came from whole traditional sources like cheese and cured meats, within a diet rich in vegetables and low in processed sugar. The Minnesota Coronary Experiment didn't prove saturated fat is healthy. It proved that replacing traditional saturated fats with highly processed, unstable omega-6 industrial seed oils is likely dangerous. Your primary goal for health without risk is not to fear whole food fats, but to aggressively eliminate processed, refined, and ultra-processed foods and the industrial seed oils used in this experiment: corn oil, soybean, canola, cottonseed, and generic vegetable oils. Choose stable whole food fats, olive oil, avocado oil, and the fats inherent in minimally processed meat, fish, and dairy. That is the true path to health as you age. Like and share this video. You won't see it or hear it on mainstream media. Follow or subscribe to the bulletin board. At Health Without Risk, we explore options for better health you just won't hear from mainstream medicine. Bet you haven't heard this one, have you? Thanks for watching. Bye.